Golden Lion Shiki debuted on the global version of One Piece Treasure Cruise on the 11th of February 2019, right before Global's 4th anniversary Sugo-Fest. Once again, another batch featuring film characters that were released on a treasure map Sugo-Fest. This batch released the villains of One Piece film Strong World, which includes Scarlet, Legendary Pirates Associate, as well as Dr. Indigo, also Legendary Pirates Associate. And the Sugo-Fest exclusive character of the batch was designed in such a way so that utilizing the rare recruits was possible. With such strange design, he wasn't much of a fan favorite initially, however with the recent super evolution and level limit breaks, he finally got the respect he deserves. Introducing Legendary Pirate Golden Lion Shiki. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. And thank you so much for checking out yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC, and looking forward into today's episode. Once again, we're here with another movie legend, being Legend Shiki, debuting literally right before the 4th anniversary Sugo-Fest on One Piece Treasure Cruise, with obviously Big Mom and Legend Brook, and obviously the global first character being Quick Whitebeard. Really excited for his episode. But today, nonetheless, we're gonna talk about Shiki first. Of course, we got a very interesting batch. He came out for the treasure map as well. We had the Garnfor, we had the Monkey D. Luffy. These were also TM rare recruits to be used with Shiki. But then the actual character himself, Eneru, which saw so much play when he came out, was a very, very good treasure map character. But let's talk about the batch that came out alongside Shiki, being Scarlet and Dr. Indigo. And I think a lot of people agree to the fact that this is probably, out of all the movie batches, this is probably the worst one. Because Shiki himself was just terrible, and the rare recruits essentially never saw play. These characters are just not that good. Here we have Scarlet though, int, fighter, powerhouse, captain ability, does not matter. And then he's got a special ability: if your HP is 10% or below, boost the slot effects of all your characters by 2 times for 1 turn, and if your captain is driven, lock slots for 1 turn and reduces enemies' attack up and rage end of turn damage by 5 turns. So 5-turn removal for utility is very good, but the utility being this, extremely disappointing. And the fact that his abilities only worked if your health was below 10%, just horrendous. And obviously, when you look at what Shiki does, it makes sense why these specials were built the way they were. But man, come on, you gotta have the bigger picture in mind. This is a terrible special ability that, again, essentially never saw play. Just an awful special. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like rare recruits are gonna be receiving level limit breaks, but if they do, yeah, this batch has to be up there with one of the batches that needs it the most. The second rare recruit being Dr. Indigo, a Dex shooter driven, and he has a special that states if you're below 10% health, he recovers all of your missing health, and if you've got a driven captain, then he removes poison and blindness completely and reduces damage received by 50% for 3 turns. Oddly enough, he does have a crewmate ability that reduces 3 turns of special bind, which is just really weird. And he says that if you have a driven captain, then you reduce paralysis by 1 turn, and that is for the whole crew, by the way. Like, that's actually a really good crewmate ability, and this is also really useful, but unfortunately doesn't remove special bind, and once again gives you an ability if you're only below 10%. So once again, with level limit break, specials like this could actually see some really nice buffs and could actually see a little bit of play, to be honest. But unfortunately, another special that essentially never saw play. Removing blindness completely wasn't really that useful as a special. Removing poison, plenty of characters did that, and of course with the introduction of support effects eventually down the line, characters that had specials that removed poison weren't as useful, and you know, you didn't really need to dedicate a slot on your crew to remove poison for that reason. But then obviously poison slots kind of change things with that. But either way, a very useless rare recruit overall. And speaking of useless, we have Legend Shiki. Now, we're talking about base Shiki here. If we're looking at his 6+ with the level limit break, I love Shiki. I think he's very good. But if we're looking at the base release version of Shiki, he's pretty bad. So let's go ahead and break him down. A quick driven striker, and his captain ability without the limit break expansion, the base captain, would be a 2.75 times attack boost to Dex, Int, and Quick at the start of the chain. But then he boosts the attack of those 3 colors by 4 times after you hit the chain of a Dex character, then an Int character, and then a Quick character. And so long as you're hitting good, great, or perfect in that chain. He also gives you a 1.3 health boost, 1.35 should I say, and it makes tandem and recovery slots beneficial to all characters. So, like the health boost and the matching slots, no one's really complaining about that. The 4 times multiplier, that's actually not too bad either for this time frame of the game. The problem here is you have to hit in the order of Dex, Int, and Quick, which means you have to have 1 Dex and 1 Int character alongside him as the captain in order for him to actually see play. So that's obviously a bit of a downside there, that you have to build your team with all 3 colors in mind, which isn't, very ideal in a lot of cases. And of course, with his limit break expanded captain ability plus the super evolution, they definitely changed some things for the better. Captain ability wise wasn't really that useful, unfortunately. Then you look at his special ability that reduces your crew's health by 99%, but then deals 30 times the amount of HP subtracted in typeless damage to all enemies. So you do a lot of damage, especially like the higher your HP, the more damage this does. There were a lot of instances where you could just absolutely nuke bosses just with this special alone. Then, on top of that, he changes all slots, including block, into recovery slots, and of course, as a captain, he does make them beneficial, and then he makes them beneficial as a crewmate as well. Really weird that they decided to give him the ability to resist Special Bind completely, yet they don't add that ability to his special ability either. Luckily, with the Super Evolution, they did actually change that, which is good. So, again, when you look at everything here, it's not hard to see why this character really wasn't that good. No boosting effects with his special, he just gives you damage and a full board of slots. And then the captain ability being so restrictive, you needing to build for 3 different colors, and also, it just didn't really provide all that much. You had to hit in a certain order of those colors, and also make sure you don't miss. If you miss, you just screw up your whole attack chain. Yeah, so Shiki wasn't really the best character overall on release, but, at least they released a really cool treasure map free-to-play character alongside him. He was definitely the highlight of the event, that's for sure. I remember people were trying to build teams for the treasure map, people going super crazy on the treasure map, and it got to a point where Shiki was no longer the optimal captain to use on the content, because, you don't have type advantage against Eneru. I believe he was still Psy on the boss fight, so you had to build predominantly Int, and I think a lot of people were opting to go for Whitebeard and Marco as their captain instead of Shiki, just because it gave you more damage with the health cuts and stuff. It was just a weird situation, but anyways, that's the breakdown of the batch. Let's go ahead, get into the game, and start building a team for some content. And here we are in game with the Golden Lion Shiki, boss of the Golden Lion Pirates, using SIQ made from IQ. He changes Merville's animals into beasts. These ferocious beasts are necessary for Shiki's plan. Using them, he plans to conquer the East, Blue, and beyond. Obviously, that is the synopsis of One Piece Strong World. And this is a pretty interesting legend, of course. Got the Super Evolution earlier on in the year, and the Super Evolution is actually very impressive. It's honestly one of my favorite Super Evolutions in the game. But the character on release didn't really provide much to people's character boxes. It's a very underwhelming legend, but we have a pretty interesting team and piece of content that we're going to be playing today, so hopefully we can secure victory. Also, this video is being recorded now after I'm back from the United States, so finally we're getting back into the swing of things with the Legends of OPTC series. I know many people out there were missing the series. Of course, if you want to check out the series 24 hours earlier, you can go ahead and subscribe to the Patreon, which is linked down below in the video description of every single video that I upload. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and use a Golden Lion Shiki, hopefully beat some content. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So today we're going to be taking on Colosseum Rizo, which I'm pretty sure I've featured on the channel before, but it's going to get to a point where we're going to be featuring, the same type of content over and over again on the channel, just because it's the nature of things. There's more legends available than there is content. It's just the way it is, right? So, let's go ahead and jump into it. Hopefully we can secure victory, of course. If we do lose, we're going to have to return back or return with a different strategy. But we're running some pretty obscure characters here, that's for sure, using characters like Neo Aokiji, as well as this limited rare recruit killer. So remember, the captain ability of Shiki, he requires you to attack in the order of Dex, Int, and then Quick, without breaking the chain in order to receive the 4x attack boost to Dex, Int, and Quick characters. So we're going to make sure that we actually do that, especially on our burst turns. When you're on these like turns where you're stalling for specials and stuff, it's not as important, of course, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, so first thing is first, we are going to stall. Now, the entire team are strikers, so realistically, we could use the kid special to get some cooldown reduction. However, we do need to stall for specials, which is kind of important. We need to make sure that we can actually have our specials ready to go for when we need them. Another thing that we are going to try and do here, we are going to try and get matching slots on both of our Shikis, or at least one of them would be ideal for one of the mini bosses that we have to deal with coming up on Battle 3. But Shiki, yeah, he's a pretty interesting unit. All the movie characters really are all kind of cool. Unfortunately, not all of them have super evolutions yet. I'm really looking forward to characters like Gil Tesoro or Black Arm Zephyr receiving super evolutions, because, you know, they definitely deserve it. And the fact that Shiki got one, you know, those characters just need a little bit of that support too. I really hope that, you know, we even get like level limit breaks for some of the characters that were rare recruits as well. You know, it would be nice to see some of these old school rare recruits that essentially never see play anymore to get buffed to be more modern as well, rather than us, you know, just getting all of these legend upgrades, but these rare recruits, they become less and less useful over time. We have definitely overstalled here, so I don't think we need to really stall any much more than what we have. I do want to kill these Larpins in the back because they are a little bit troublesome. So let's go ahead and move on here. Dex, Int, and then Quick. And then we get the 4x attack boost instead. Now move on to battle number 3, which is going to be against Dogstorm. Yeah, Dogstorm's pretty annoying actually, and this is where we're going to be starting to activate some of our specials. We have attack down here for 2 turns. This is why we have Baccarat, which can also provide us with a 1.75 times orb boost. And her special is really strong as it provides pretty good utility, at least at the time of her release, removing 3 turns of attack down, paralysis, and chain lock. Just a really good special. And then, of course, you get the orb boosting special as well. So this is going to be a burst turn. We want to hit in the order of Dex, Int, and then Quick. So we're going to make sure that we do that. So here we go. Alright. Oh my god, we didn't hit it. We didn't hit it perfect. We didn't hit it perfect. What are we doing? And then he puts up damage reduction, and he has a counter. Oh my god, are we just dead here? Okay, 4 damage. Okay, how much can we stall out here? What does he do now? Okay, he just counters. We just want to make sure that we can get through this kind of unscathed. If I had to make a guess, I'm going to assume that he's going to apply another counter after this. Hopefully we'll be okay. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's do it again. Dex, Int, Quick. Okay. Whew, that could have been bad, but luckily we are alright. Alright, moving on to Battle 4, we have Cat Viper. So, unfortunately, we do actually have to do quite a bit of stall here. We're going to be stalling to get rid of this chain locking debuff that's on our crew. I was looking around for different characters that you could really use in this situation, and at this point of Shiki's release, there really wasn't enough available to really get around this. So we're just going to be stalling, trying to get some matching slots, and then once the chain lock has expired, then we're ready to apply some burst turns. Luckily, Cat Viper doesn't really do much to us. We should be able to get through this relatively comfortably. And we want to make sure that we can get matching slots. That's definitely going to be important for us. So we're just going to be doing a little bit of attack. I think we can get him to around 50%. I think that's probably what we'll try and do. So Dex, Int, Quick. Alright, I feel comfortable with that, so we're going to be sticking with that for a little bit. Hopefully get some matching slots. We're going to stall, and then we'll be back. So unfortunately we got him below 50%. It actually took me a couple more turns of extra stall because I literally could not get an int slot on my killer or Baccarat for like 5 additional turns. I don't know what was happening. Couldn't get an int slot. As soon as I got one, I got him below 50%. So you see that we are hit with recovery bind. I actually don't think it's going to matter too much, but what we can do here is that we can activate the special of killer, which says that if he does a health cut, and then he also gives us a color affinity boost for 3 turns. And color affinity at this point in time was a relatively rare buff that you could apply to the team. So we have color affinity, that's wicked, and it also does a really good chunk of health towards Cat Viper as well. We do have a matching slot on Baccarat, so just with normal attacks, this should give us enough damage to kill. So once again, Dex int quick, and we're good to go. Int quick. Beautiful, beautiful. The only real thing that does suck though is that because our HP is so low, the special ability of Shiki isn't going to do a lot of damage. I don't know if that's going to matter that much, but I suppose we're going to find out, right? So here we have Raizo. Raizo does apply some pretty okay stuff, but it's not really that bad because of the fact that we have the special of Shiki to give us the slots. But of course, Raizo has the ability that if you activate an orb boosting effect, he does nasty stuff. So realistically, because we got Baccarat back in the previous stage, we could have used it then anyway. Not the end of the world. So we're going to go ahead and use Shiki special here, which is going to apply the damage and also give us the full board of matching slots. And we can also use the special ability of our Kiji, which is going to enable us to lock our slots and also give our striker characters an attack boost. And because we still have the color affinity boost from Killer from the previous stage, we have the attack boost, we have the color affinity. That is pretty good. We could realistically use Kid Special here, but I can't remember off the top of my head if he actually removes beneficial effects, because he does revive, and then he applies, he actually applies like a reinforcement thing, where a bunch of mobs will be summoned. So we use Kid to wave clear the mobs after the fact, but I think with normal attacks we should be good. So Kid has more attack, we're going to go Dex int quick, and hopefully we get the win. Baccarat has more attack, surprisingly. Alright, without further ado, here we go. Yes, okay, it was enough damage. The color affinity and the attack boost was enough to carry us through with that 4 times damage. So he does revive, as we mentioned. He does remove beneficial effects, so luckily we didn't do that. But now, he's going to go ahead and get rid of our slots again. And remember here is that all these characters have a one-hit combo. So we're going to go ahead and use Shiki, which is going to give us the full board of slots again. But it also does do at least 1 bit of damage to all the mobs, so we at least break their barriers. And Kid Special should kill all the mobs. I don't think that's going to be a big issue here. But now we can go ahead and use Kid Special, which will do the end of turn damage. And then we'll just use all of our normal attacks on the main Raizo, who has the highest HP value. And hopefully it's enough to get the dub. So, here goes nothing. Oh, nice. Yes, okay, there we go. Final round versus Raizo completed with Legend Shiki, which is not something that you see that often. I mean, of course, the new Shiki that we have is very good with his Super Evolution. This old school Shiki, definitely, I'm very happy to put this one away in the shelf, not touch this guy ever again. Really not a fan of this legend overall, but we've done it. So there we go. That's the episode of the Golden Lion Shiki. And with all of that, that's going to wrap up yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC. Looking forward, though, into the future, into next week's episode, we're going to be covering the 4th anniversary of One Piece Treasure Cruise, heading into the era of V1 Big Mom, Dex Brook, and Quick Whitebeard. So I'm very much looking forward to the next 3 episodes and seeing what we can come up with for that. But that's going to wrap it up for me for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.